Hey there guys, and welcome to the first of two videos this week here from me on Who Addicts Reviews. The first is going to be the final episode of the Best Possible series, episode 15, which is where I'm going to be going through all the specials that have been in Modern Who, that include all of them throughout 2009, and any special episodes we've had since then, for example, The Day of the Doctor. So sit back and enjoy. Now, the specials is a difficult one. It is, of course, the last episode of this series, which is kind of weird, but yeah, there's a fine line between what people can class as specials or not. You know, there's full-on episodes like the 2009 specials. There's one-off episodes like The Day of the Doctor, which is classed as a special. But, you know, I just knew that if I only did the 2009 specials and The Day of the Doctor, then I'd get people saying, what about Time Crash? What about Children in Need special? So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to include them in the overall rating at the end, because I don't think it's fair judging a mini-sode or a prequel or a Children in Need special against a full-on episode or a full-on special like The Day of the Doctor. I don't think judging them against each other's fair. So what I'm going to do before I start with the Planet of the Dead is that I'm going to do a few honourable mentions of some of the Children in Need specials / prequels / minisodes that we've had in Doctor Who and give you my opinion on them. So I don't know if I'm going to give a quick rating out of 10 for these, because like I said, they're just minisodes. But the first honourable mention I'm going to talk about is, of course, Born Again, which was the first Children in Need special we got, which was supposed to be straight after the 9th Doctor regenerated into the 10th Doctor, and of course it was I can't remember quite how long it was, a few minutes, of Rose Tyler getting to grips with the 10th Doctor, and the 10th Doctor going pretty crazy, losing control, and the regenerative process started to take its toll on him, and yeah, he began to make the TARDIS go really quickly, which led to it crashing in the Christmas Invasion. So Born Again was very good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's nice. I think that we don't really have many like mini Children Need specials or mini prequels like that come after such a big event. The fact that it came straight after Parting of the Ways, straight after a regeneration, it was very good to see the effects straight after our first ever regeneration as modern fans. So I love Born Again. I think it's great, and like I said, I think seeing the effects of regeneration on the 10th Doctor, him going crazy, scaring Rose, and Rose, you know, really not coming to grips with regeneration to begin with. She was really declining that he was the Doctor and saying, "You're not fooling me. Bring the Doctor back now." So yeah, I love Born Again. It was a really nice little Children in Need special, and one that I'll always remember. The next Children in Need special I'm going to be talking about is one of the best, which is Time Crash. Technically the first multi-Doctor story in Modern Who. Yeah, I'd say that. Which, of course, again, came straight after a series finale. It came on straight after Martha departed from the TARDIS, and the 5th Doctor came in, and that was one hell of a nostalgic moment. I just wish that back then at the time when I was, well, what, 2007, I'd have been 11. I just wish when I was 11 I'd known more about Classic Who, and I'd have known more about the 5th Doctor, because that moment might have been a bit more exciting for me. I can't quite remember if I was like, who is this guy? I think I did know who he was. But yeah, what a moment that is for modern fans, and it is really weird to look at them two and think, wow, David Tennant went on to marry his daughter and have children with his daughter. The fact that they are kind of future stepdad and stepson before they even knew it, which is really, really weird. But apart from that really weird thing, I think Time Crash is a great little multi-Doctor special, written by Stephen Moffat as well, and I'll admit, brilliant writing from him. And yeah, I love the way the 5th Doctor is in denial that the 10th Doctor is the Doctor. In every single minisode, it appears that everyone's in denial that David Tennant's the Doctor. But yeah, he thought he was a fan, and it was really funny when he thought that he was a fan, and the 10th Doctor was just like, what? I'm not a fan. But yeah, the little effect of the 10th Doctor knowing what to do because he remembers seeing himself do it was a nice little timey-wimey thing, and I just love the speech at the end when the 10th Doctor just says, "You are my Doctor," and points out some similarities that I didn't even realise. I didn't realise that he got the brainy specs from the 5th Doctor. I didn't realise that he got the trainers from the 5th Doctor, and taking the mick out of the stick of celery is priceless. So yeah, Time Crash is a brilliant little mini-sode, and it's a great taster to what a multi-Doctor story could be. And it proved also that I think Peter Davison is still looking great, still fits into the costume, and should definitely still come back one day as the Doctor. But yeah, Time Crash is brilliant. Next is a little mini-sode that I think came straight after Series 5. It is Space, or Time. I think it has 2 different names. But yes, this is a very, very interesting mini-sode, I should say. I mean, it's very timey-wimey, but yeah, there's so many funny comedic moments in this, like when Rory ends up crashing the TARDIS because he's too busy looking at Amy's skirt. I think that's hilarious. And Amy flirting with herself. I mean, I don't know if this is weird, but Amy flirting with herself was just such a hot moment. I mean, I find Karen Gillan extremely attractive, but in that moment was just amazing. I'm surprised Owen doesn't absolutely adore that moment. Can we talk about a female companion without mentioning Owen now? I don't think we can. But yes, this is a fantastic little mini-sode. Very timey-wimey, but there are some great comedic moments. The script in this is fantastic, and it's a mini-sode that just shows why I loved that TARDIS so much, and why I loved that little trio of the Doctor, Amy and Rory. I just thought they were such a great little TARDIS crew. Although at times Amy annoyed me and stuff, but I think that as a TARDIS crew, them three were perfect, and I love that TARDIS. I don't know why they didn't stick on with it. I think it's because they had to change studio. I think that's why they had to change the TARDIS, which is a shame. But nevertheless, I absolutely love this mini-sode. I think it's just really entertaining, really funny, and one I'll always enjoy watching. Now on to Pond Life, which, well, I don't like it. I can't really put a full-on reason, like a ranting, full-on valid reason why I really like it. It's just not my thing. And, I'm not really a fan of Chris Chibnall in Doctor Who anyway. But, yeah, Pond Life, I don't know if it's just because there was a 9-month gap between The Doctor, The Widow, and The Pile of Crap, and Asylum of the Daleks. I don't know if I'm just frustrated that in an entire 9 months we only got Pond Life. I don't know if that's what really annoyed me, but it could have worked if it was in between a smaller gap. But still, it's just not my thing, and I think it was a weak effort from the BBC to try and make an excuse up. Oh, we'll give them this, and they'll be all right with this. No, we should have got much more than Pond Life, and it's weird because I like Amy and Rory as characters, so that's the perfect reason for me to like Pond Life. But I just wasn't really bothered about it. I watched the first 2 episodes, because there was one on each day, I think. And I watched the first 2, and then I just lost interest. I just thought, I could be doing so much more entertaining things with this 5 minutes of my day than watching this, and I just didn't like it. It's just that's just my opinion. And yeah, the excuse to making this actually connect with Series 7 was them randomly breaking up at the end. I don't know if that was them saying, we've given this random Pond Life, but I know they'll like it because we'll connect it to an upcoming plot point. No, them breaking up and not being together in Asylum was random anyway. So Pond Life was pointless, really. That's I should have just said that. Just pointless. It didn't need to be there, and it was a terrible excuse for something to be there. So yeah, fuck you, Chris Chibnall. I could not go and talk about honourable mentions without mentioning The Night of the Doctor. It's simply just brilliant. I've spoke about this so many times, and I've reviewed it, so I may put a link on the screen if I remember. If I forget, then just go check it out. I've reviewed The Night of the Doctor. I've spoke about it many, many times, praised it many times. It was just a gift, really. It was a brilliant gift, and I cannot thank Moffat enough for writing this and giving Paul McGann and the 8th Doctor what he deserves. And it was just a great exit, and this alone made me appreciate the 8th Doctor a lot more, and made him rise in my Doctor ranking. So yeah, I don't want to talk about Night of the Doctor too much because you can go watch my review for that. But yeah, I adore Night of the Doctor. I absolutely adore it. I think it's beautiful, perfectly written piece, and yeah, I'm just so grateful that this happened. I just don't think Doctor Who would be the same. It just bridged that massive gap that we'd had, and it gave us so much closure on the 8th Doctor. So yeah, The Night of the Doctor, I can't speak highly of it. I freaking love it. The final honourable mention I'm going to talk about is The Last Day. I just felt with talking about The Night of the Doctor, I had to mention The Last Day. I like Last Day. I don't know why. When they released that they were going to release another special mini-sode for the Day of the Doctor, I was like, oh my god, what is this going to be? And I don't know if they built it up too big. I just thought the last day was a little bit underwhelming from what I expected. If they hadn't have bigged it up, I might have enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. But of course, seeing how everything really started seeing the fall of Arcadia, really, which we've heard about in the End of Time. It was a massive event in the Time War, a game changer, really, for the Time Lords, because the Daleks broke through the Sky Trenches, which were practically unbreakable. So yeah, it's a massive part of the Time War, and I think I'd have rather have Last Day happened than it not happened. Let's just say that. If Last Day hadn't happened, I would have rather have that happened, because it's just a little moment that I think is worth seeing in the development of the Time War, and I think we'll learn so much more with Engines of War, which came out, well, yesterday to you guys. But yeah, we'll learn so much more in Engines of War, but I think it's just a lovely little mini-sword, maybe a little bit underwhelming from what I was expecting, but yeah, to see how the Daleks broke through Arcadia and really started to attack Gallifrey and bring the downfall of the end of the war, really, because of course the Time Lords were getting enclosed in pretty much their own citadel in the end. So I think the Last Day, it's not standout, but I think it's useful and it does its job, and it really helped me see the war-side scale of the Day of the Doctor and the Time War. So there, the honourable mentions are out of the way. I know I'll have missed some prequels that you'd have wanted me to talk about, but overall, if I was to go through every prequel and minisode, I'd be here all day. So now we're going to be going on to the full episodes in 2009 specials, starting with Planet of the Dead. And the thing with Planet of the Dead is it just gets lost in the 2009 specials. People give it so much stick when it's a brilliant story. I mean, just because it's in the same year as The End of Time and The Waters of Mars, people just look at it and think, oh, well, we'll kick it under the carpet. It's nothing compared to them two. And although in the 2009 specials, Planet of the Dead would probably come third, if you were to stick it in a full series, like Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, it would be one of my favourite episodes. I love Planet of the Dead. I love the mystery surrounding the companion. I think she's absolutely fantastic. I don't know why she kissed the Doctor in the end, though. I think she seemed like quite a tough, stern companion. A bit like Donna Noble. She was tough. She was independent, and she liked to do things herself, so why she kissed him in the end was a bit beyond me, but that was the pattern in Doctor Who at the time. But yeah, seeing the Doctor with an Easter egg on a bus was just brilliant. To see him and this bus go through this like time warpy thing into this planet. The characters that were on the bus were great as well. I always love a nice little variety of characters. But the story was great, seeing the little fly people as well on their ship. And when them fly people got killed by them metal creatures, I felt for them. I really did like them fly creatures. I don't know why, but when they died, it was just very, very sad. And I liked the metal creatures taking over the planet and getting ready to eat everything in their wake. That was pretty good. And of course, it had the cameo of Lee Evans. I mean, I love Lee Evans so much. Him being in Doctor Who is just a dream for me and all people who love Lee Evans. I mean, seeing him and David Tennant together, I mean, at the time, they were my two favourite human beings, and probably still are. And to see them two together in an episode of Doctor Who, I mean, it's just my favourite comedian, my favourite actor, my favourite Doctor in my favourite show. It just can't get any better than that. And Malcolm needs to come back, let's be honest. I mean, I think when Kate was on the phone in The Day of the Doctor, talking about there's a precedent for 3 Doctors, and the Zygon appeared just behind her, she was talking to a guy called Malcolm, and I'm sure that was the same Malcolm, so he has to come back. I mean, if Osgood's coming back, so does Malcolm. So please, 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 Lee Evans, find the time. But yeah, apart from that, I'm going into a Lee Evans love rant here, but yeah, Planet of the Dead is a fantastic story, and if it was among any other episodes, it would be spoken so much highly of. It's just such a shame it gets lost behind The Waters of Mars and The End of Time. But yeah, Planet of the Dead, definitely worthy of being an 8 out of 10. My favourite episode in the 10th Doctor's era, The Waters of Mars. I could talk hours and hours and hours for why I adore this so bloody much. I just cannot get enough of The Waters of Mars. If I had a pound for every time I've watched it, I'd be the richest guy on the planet. I could watch it over and over and over again. We've reviewed it on the channel, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about how good it is. I don't care how long I take, but this episode is phenomenal. I mean, all them people that say that the 10th Doctor is all lovey and is a ladies' man, and he was perceived in the Day of the Doctor like that, I think, and for some reason now it's cool to dislike the 10th Doctor, which I don't get. But yeah, this episode really showed how good David's acting was, and it showed so much depth to the 10th Doctor, and it showed the Doctor in a way we'd never seen him before. I mean, it started off just as a usual adventure, meeting some great characters on Mars, but it ended up being a very, very difficult position for the Doctor to be in, because he was in a position where, of course, he could not change anything. It was a fixed point in time, and he just had to go. But, of course, his curiosity got the best of him, and he stayed, and they ended up seeing these the Flood. I love the Flood. I think they're just such a scary monster. They're just water, which people don't like, but I love the Flood. I just thought they were great. They looked scary. They looked brilliant. But, yeah, the Doctor's curiosity got the best of him, and he stayed with these people, knowing that they were bound to die, and that they had to die because, of course, their deaths had a massive impact on the future of the human race. But Time Lord Victorious got the best of him, and I mean, the end scene I can't speak highly enough of. I mean, when he's about to walk away, and he realizes that he can change this, and the laws of time are his, and he walks back in there, and he's evil. He's evil. The evil side of the Doctor came out. The Valiard almost came out in the 10th Doctor in that moment. When he's just like, the laws of time are mine, and they will obey me. I mean, the script in this episode was fantastic. Everything, the direction, every single thing is just faultless. If you can find a fault with this episode, I will give you money. It is just phenomenal. And the end scene when they're back on Earth, and she ends up kind of manipulating his companion. Well, she wasn't his companion, but he ended up manipulating her, taking her own life. That is pretty brutal. That is really brutal, and it's really dark ending for the 10th Doctor. So yeah, Waters of Mars, I could not speak highly of. I adore it so goddamn much. It's an 11 out of 10, I don't care. Waters of Mars is just my favourite episode of the 10th Doctor by a country mile. Oh, last week I was dying to talk about this, but I couldn't, because it was just the Christmas specials and it was just the End of Time Part 1. Now I can talk about Part 2 and how much I also love this story. It was my favourite at one point at the time, but slowly the Waters of Mars took over that. But yeah, the End of Time Part 2 is just a great continuation of the End of Time Part 1. And the acting again was just amazing. The Master was great as well. I just think a lot more happened in the End of Time Part 2, so much more action, so many great standout scenes, like with the Doctor and Wilf on the ship, when he said, "I'd be proud if you were my dad." I mean, some scenes, and I just love the Doctor and Wilf so much. I just wish they could have spent more time together, but they're such a great partnership. And this is another episode I reviewed in my Regeneration series, so I don't want to talk too much about it again. But the one of the standout scenes, of course, is when the Doctor is faced between the Master and the Time Lords, and he's got the gun and he's springing between one and the other. I mean, that scene has me on the edge of my seat even now. I mean, even though I know what's going to happen, I'm still like, oh my god, don't shoot, don't shoot. Like, I expect things to change, but no, you can't beat the scene when he thinks he's still alive, and you hear the four knocks. I mean, the music and his expression, as you can see on his face, is just one of the greatest twists in Doctor Who ever. I mean, Russell did such a great job with this. And going back to see his companions, like I said, many people don't like it. I think it's a nice touch. I mean, you could say it dragged on a bit, but I think it's just a lovely touch. And I could talk about his final line for days. I don't want to go. I liked it personally. I just think it fitted well. It wasn't overdone. Like, you could say the 11th Doctor's speech was in the time of the Doctor, but he was more of a speech doctor. David wasn't. David's Doctor was more of a simple, direct Doctor. So, I think I don't want to go worked, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, End of Time Part 2 was fantastic. The only letdown was the 11th Doctor's first moments. I really dislike his first moments. I mean, I know they only had one take to do it, so maybe they could have retook it and it could have been better, but I'm not a fan of his first moments, but that's my opinion again. But yeah, I'd give the End of Time Part 2 a 9 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic departure for the 10th Doctor. And finally, you cannot talk about specials without the 50th special itself, The Day of the Doctor. I don't want to go into this too much because we did a 51-minute, well, I wouldn't even call it a review, I'd just call it a buzz, to be honest. But yeah, The Day of the Doctor, again, I mean, I've watched it tons of times. It's just outstanding. It's just a fantastic 50th anniversary celebration. And I've recently purchased the 50th anniversary collection, because it's just, I mean, I don't mind owning it twice. I mean, as a collector, it's just something that I just need to have because of the 50th anniversary. It's such an iconic time, and I just think that it's once in a lifetime for a Doctor Who fan, and they had to pull this off, and they did. I think Moffat did a great job, and he did say in a recent interview that he's not been able to watch it since the morning it aired because he was so nervous that it would actually pull off, and that just shows how much pressure he was under. And the way he delivered is, I acknowledge it. I respect him incredibly for how Moffat was able to pull that off. Honestly, I really do. The 10th Doctor came back, which was nostalgic. The chemistry between all the Doctors was fantastic as well. I think John Hurt was brilliant. I mean, I think it was harsh in the DWM that he was ranked the lowest. But, he did his job for a missing Doctor to walk into a role like he did and fit in so well. I think John Hurt did a fantastic job as the War Doctor. And the chemistry between it, he was just hilarious when he was taking the mick out of the 10th and the 11th. But there's so many great references and countless references, and my favourite scene in Doctor Who to date is without a doubt the scene when all the 12 Doctors help each other, and Peter Capaldi makes a cameo. I mean, that scene gives me goosebumps to this day. And you can't beat the ending with Tom Baker finally coming back as the curator. I mean, that moment, again, it's just, every scene's a standout scene in the 50th. I could watch it 1,000 times a day. It's just such a great special. And although the Zygon story arc was kind of forgotten about, it doesn't really niggle me enough. I mean, of course it is a negative, but I don't think it takes much away from the special itself. It did its job as a 50th anniversary, and I adore it to God. And I honestly think Moffat did a fantastic job with the Day of the Doctor, and I think there was so much going on. I don't think he could have done a better job. So yeah, the Day of the Doctor is fantastic. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. So to conclude the specials, again, people will have different opinions and they'll say, oh, I should have involved this, I should have involved this. Believe me, the specials is an episode I wanted to do because I just think I couldn't have done this series without not talking about the specials in 2009 because, like I said, I love End of Time, I love Waters of Mars, I love Planet of the Dead, and I couldn't do this series without talking about the 50th as well. So I just thought the specials was a good way to just end it because I just thought along with my series and my Christmas special, I should just have a special episode there, and that's why this was here. So my favourite special episode goes to an episode that I think a little bit like Rose in the first ever episode I did. It wasn't the highest rated episode, I don't think, or it might have been, but I put it there for nostalgic reasons because it meant a lot to me, and as much as I love Waters of Mars, and as much as it is my favourite 10th Doctor episode, and as much as I love End of Time, and it's one of my favourite regeneration stories, I just cannot have my best possible series without including the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, because I just think in my best possible series, there's such a variety of different stories in there. I think just to cap it off with the 50th anniversary, you just cannot have a best possible series without it. So as much as I love the others, the 50th anniversary, The Day of the Doctor, concludes my best possible series. So as you can see on the screen right now, we have Rose, The Fires of Pompeii, School Reunion, The Doctor's Wife, The Angels Take Manhattan, Dalek, A Good Man Goes to War, Father's Day, Forest of the Dead, Blink, Turn Left, The Stolen Earth, Name of the Doctor, The Christmas Invasion, and The Day of the Doctor. So that is it, guys. There is my best possible series complete with The Day of the Doctor. So then guys, that is it. My best possible series is done. All 15 episodes are up, and if any of you have missed any, then there is a playlist on the channel if you can go back and check any out that you may have missed. But I want to thank every single one of you who have supported me throughout this series. It's been the best series I've done so far. Some of you have commented on every single episode, and I cannot thank you enough. The support has just been phenomenal, but that is it. The best possible series is done. So like this video if you've enjoyed the series, subscribe to our channel and comment below your entire best possible series, all 15 episodes that would go into yours, and I will answer them at the end of next week's video. But I'm not quite done yet, because following this video is going to be a small little bonus video which will be my worst possible series. That will definitely be very interesting, so don't forget to check that video out. It should be up shortly after this. Until then, see you next time.